We've been down to the very basis of all the things that make up every single network that you'll ever see with the OSI model. Now let's come back out, and let's come back out to the level of cloud. And we want to talk about the cloud for a few minutes. We want to talk about the fact that it really is part of this one really big network. Remember, it's all one big network. Just so that we can lay a foundation here. So what is the cloud? You know, how did the cloud get a name like cloud? And so I did a search of Google Images for wide area network diagram, and this is what came up. And so if you look at each one of these wide area network diagrams, what you'll see is a bunch of little icons, and in every single one of them, there's a little cloud. See it? There's a cloud, a cloud, a cloud, a cloud, a cloud. Almost all of them have a cloud involved. Now, here's what that means. Is that network engineers who are designing wide area networks and creating these diagrams, they have a series of little icons. And they have an icon that represents everything that's inside of their building in the network. They have an icon for telephones and computers and servers and cameras and icons for routers and switches and stuff. And so each one of those has an icon, and they put those icons in place and put lines between them to connect them all together to represent their local area network. But ultimately, they're going to connect this network to something else, someplace far away, and they'll just draw a little cloud there and draw a line to the cloud. And what the cloud is representative of is computing resources, just like the ones that are in the building, but computing resources that are someplace else. That's all. That cloud represents IT resources that are not here, they're someplace else. And so that's really what we get from this, is that that's what cloud computing is. It's IT resources that are not here, they're someplace else. So here's a definition for us. Cloud computing, it's a model, and you're going to want to underline some words here in your handout. Cloud computing is a model for enabling remote network access, underline remote. It's remote, remember these are IT resources that are someplace else, right? And so it enables remote network access to a shared pool of computing resources. Shared is the other word you should underline. They're shared by multiple people. They're a pool. So here's a definition for us. Cloud computing, it's a model, and you're going to want to underline some words here in your handout. Cloud computing is a model for enabling remote network access, underline remote. It's remote, remember these are IT resources that are someplace else, right? And so it enables remote network access to a shared pool of computing resources. Shared is the other word you should underline. They're shared by multiple people. They're a pool of, you put a lot of different computing resources in one place, that's why they're pooled together. And it's things like servers and storage and applications and services. IT kinds of things, right? Things that IT departments need, they're just remote and they're shared. And that's what makes them cloud. Now, when you talk about cloud computing, you really have to understand the perspective from the speaker. Now, if you're like the example on the left here, then maybe it's kind of like a company. We have, have the home office and remote office, and you have a warehouse, and you have these remote facilities, and you would discuss the cloud as if it's over there. It's someplace else. But if you want the people who are sort of inside the cloud providers, people like Google and Amazon and Microsoft and such, if you allow them to talk about the cloud, then they're going to talk about it from a different perspective, from the sort of the inside out. And so if you're reading an article about cloud computing, you just need to ask yourself, who's writing the article? And from what perspective do they see the cloud? That's important to understand some of the terminologies that we're going to learn here in a few minutes. Now, we're going to see in our discussion here 3 service models. We'll talk about 4 deployment models, and we'll talk about 5 essential attributes, the things that make the cloud what it is.